72. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5FM.com. Express yourself live on Global Radio 99.5 FM.
Good afternoon, Bahamas. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. This is a great day to be in the Commonwealth of Bahamas. Of course, this is Constitution Day. Bahamians are going to be very rigid and very hard when it comes to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, because that is our salvation document. And I heard a lot of crap, a lot of nonsense, a lot of foolishness on the airwaves today from Bahamians who are supposed to be intelligent, who ought to know better, but they're talking foolishness and nonsense. I'm not really surprised at that, but this deception is so deeply rooted into the psyche of the Bahamian people. And the political parties are greatly responsible for that to happen. It's been going on for 58 years, Bahamians. 58 years since majority rule, January the 10th, 1967. People today still do not understand the difference between a political party and the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This is very serious, Bahamians. You can be a member or a follower of a political party. That political party will put up a candidate in your particular constituency. You do not have to support that candidate. It may be a trashy candidate. A candidate that cannot do anything to help you advance as a Bahamian. Nothing at all. You have no obligation whatsoever to support any candidate, even if you are a follower or a member of that particular political party. Bahamians, you need to understand this, you know. This is extremely important because choosing a parliamentary representative is serious business. I've been wasting time for 58 years. Playing games with the lives of our people. Political parties who have had control of the government of the Commonwealth of Bahamas have had massive landslide of seats. Except maybe at one point, 67 to 68, when there was a majority of one. Because the UPP at that time, the PLP 1818, one independent, and Sir Randall Fox went along with the PLP at that time to form the government of the Bahamas. Sir Lyndon formed the government January the 14th, 1967. The people of color were unified, and there was rejoicing in the streets. You should have seen the rejoicing. Those who were there. I was there, I know about this. They were happy. They were elated. For the first time in their lives, they felt they could do something. Because people always thought the UPP, the white minority government, could not be defeated. They had all the money. They had all the authority. They had everything going for them. But the curtain came down on them January the 10th, 1967. And let me just say this for the benefit of the people out there who don't understand. Because I heard some remarks made by a caller on another show. While there may be differences between what is called the County Joe and the people of color in this country, I do not see any evidence over the last 58 years there's any intense hatred between the white minority and the black majority in this country. Now, they may have their differences. We're not like how it is in the United States. When in 1968, black people could not sit around the tables in the restaurant. Do you understand how significant that is? whereas we had already attained majority rule. Maybe you got to learn your history. We were ahead of the people of color in the United States. We don't even give ourselves credit for what we have had in this country from 1729 right on up to now. Changes of administrations in this country without firing one single shot to change administrations in the country. With all the flaws in the F&M, all the flaws in the PLP, we've never had to resort to that. And here we are, 2025. That doesn't mean we are perfect. It's just so that God has a way of working in men's hearts and minds because he has a special place for the Bahamas. That's the only reason. We have not yet achieved what we're supposed to achieve as a nation. July the 10th, 1973. We haven't achieved it yet, Bahamians. 52 years almost come and gone. July will make 52 years. For majority rule is 58 years and a half up to July the 10th. And we're still not understanding what we are supposed to do as a people in this country. Now, there were some in the white minority who left the country, but a sizable number of them stayed right here and still are here today. And I do not see any evidence, because I've watched it for 52 years, of any intense dislike or hatred or bitterness between the Conky Joes and the black majority in this country. Now, they have their differences. They may look at things differently. They may have a different understanding. I don't have a problem with that. The Constitution allows for freedom of expression, freedom to impart ideas and opinions without interference. But you don't have to be violent. You don't have to kill people because they believe different from you. You learn to sit to the table and discuss things, Bahamians. That's what you do. We have not yet learned to pull ourselves together because we are so politically polarized. I was talking to someone about this, I think it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. The government of the Bahamas is politically polarized. Do you understand that, Bahamian? That's not good for democracy. They always will tell you, this is an FNM government. This is a PLP government. That comes from the lips of ministers and representatives in the House of Assembly and Senate all the time. So then people begin to believe the government and the party is one. They perpetrate that crap. And it is so deeply etched into the psyche of the Bahamian people, it's going to take a hell of a lot to destroy it. Because it's not true. I always draw the analogy St. Barnabas Church and BTC, and I'm not putting on St. Barnabas people now. Don't misunderstand me. It could be applied to any church for that matter. Let me put that out there. It could be the Methodist Church. It could be the Anglican Church. St. Barnabas is Anglican. It could be the Baptist Church. But those people who go to St. Barnabas Church, they work in different places. So when you go to BTC Monday morning, you ain't gonna see St. Barnabas people in church Monday morning, 9 o'clock. They go on to BTC. When they go to BTC doesn't ask them about what they did in St. Barnabas Church, but it's the same person who is a member of St. Barnabas, but also worked at BTC. Same person. And they never get it mixed up. They don't say, boy, listen, I got to go to church Monday morning at 9 o'clock. They go to St. Barnabas Church Monday morning, 9 o'clock. Ain't no church. If they go Sunday morning around 9, 10, or when they have the service, you'll find St. Barnabas people right there. And those St. Barnabas people are members who work in different professions. You may have a lawyer, you may have a doctor, you may have a nurse. I don't know if they have any professors there, I don't know. But people of different professions. But they all are members of St. Barnabas Church. And they come to hear the man preach the word to them. Now, what they do with it, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. But they've been doing that for years. And they never made a mistake by going to work on the wrong days or going to church on the wrong days. How come? That's etched into their psyche, Bahamians. The same thing with all the other churches. They know when Sunday comes, and the Adventists and others who keep the Sabbath, they know when Sabbath comes, so they be there. They don't make no mistake. They've been doing it for years. It has become a part of them. So they don't make no mistake on that. Now let's look at it this way. You have the same people living in a particular constituency. You could pick anyone you want. Those people who live in that particular constituency have different jobs. But guess what's common to all of them? They are constituents in that particular constituency. And nobody is asking whether you use F&M, PLP, COI, and that kind of thing. They have to be registered constituents in a particular constituency to participate in the parliamentary process. Being a member of a political party or a follower political party does not qualify you to participate in the parliamentary process. Then you need to understand this, because friend, if you don't even understand what you're doing, and it grieved my spirit today hearing all this crap coming out of the mouths of so-called intelligent and sensible people. Don't we get mixed up like this, Bahamians? 99% of you don't know the Constitution. If I were to put it in front of you right now, you wouldn't even know how to save your own life. You'll die. I was talking to some good Christian people the other day. They love the Lord. They believe in God. But they cannot help the Commonwealth of the Bahamas with its problems. You know why? Because they don't know the Constitution. They don't know how to connect the scriptures and the Constitution together and make sense of it. Most of you, perhaps 99% of you, don't know how to do that. You hear that woman from Pinewood? How she's been in this water for 32 years, and she has wasted more money than what she paid for the house. She said that publicly on the show. How many others in Pinewood Gardens have gone through the same crap 32 years plus, and the problem is still there? What are you going to do about it? You people don't even know how to ask the right questions. I listen to the questions people talk on these radio shows. They do not even know how to ask the right questions of their respective representatives, or the government for that matter. They just keep missing it all the time. No wonder why we can't get nothing done in this place. I've heard one making excuses for a particular personality who was high up in the government. I said, that's a bunch of hogwash. You do not have to make any excuses for anyone. Let them stand on their record, Bahamians. The record is there. Look at what has been achieved, if anything has been achieved. Those who are representatives in the House of Assembly, you have 39 in there. I ask one question. What major constituency problems have been solved in that particular constituency by the representative of that particular constituency over the last 58 years? You go right back to the beginning, January the 10th, 1967. You lived there more than 30 years, some of you. And you mean to tell me, you can't tell me any major constituency problems have been solved in your particular constituency? Well, what kind of constituent are you? Famous, this is a bunch of crap. This is utter nonsense and foolishness. You cannot clearly identify any major constituency problem. I live in Centerville. And I know whether any major constituency problems have been solved in Centerville. I know we got some issues in the part where I live. And I want to get to the representative to get him to understand there's some things that need to be dealt with. But that's only for that part of the constituency. There are other parts of the constituency that have other problems. A representative is to do what? To represent the people of that particular constituency. Well, the people got problems. All kind of problems. Have any of those problems been solved over the last 58 years? Every single constituency has had a representative over that period of time. What major constituency problems have been solved in your particular constituency over the last 58 years? Now, some of you are not around that long. But from the time you've lived there and you've been voting for personalities to be your representative, and here are the clear-cut benefits that come to you. What is the point of having a representative if you cannot solve any major constituency problem? You're not benefiting Bahamians. So why have a person sitting in a parliamentary seat and you don't get no parliamentary representation? Article 52.1. I can cover Article 52.1. All you have, like the woman in Pinewood Garden, Del Me, she's still living in the sloppy water. 32 years and counting. And there are others who are in the same situation as she is. And yet, as far as I know, there has been no collective will of the people. Article 24.1 of your Constitution gives you that kind of authority. You ain't got to wait for nobody to do it for you. So what are you sitting down for? And it applies across the board in any particular constituency. But I use Pinewood Gardens as an example. The woman says she's tired. The woman is now a pensioner, so she has very little money. But yet the flooding problem has not been fixed in more than 32 years. But you've had particular personalities sitting in the House of Assembly as parliamentary representatives in name, but what about in action? Because you see, a representative is supposed to take those burdens, those problems on his or her back and deal with it. Do you know that's what Jesus did? Do you see the representative in your constituency take those problems on his back, take them to the House of Assembly, take them to the government of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, and get it fixed? Have you seen that happen? The same, that's what parliamentary representation is all about. Article 52.1 gives you 3 specific things that ought to be happening. Do you see that in your constituency? Just out of shooting down Lily the Valley corner. You see how much blood is being shed in this country? I keep asking myself, who's committing all these murders? Are they Bahamians? Are they strangers? Are they foreigners? Are they aliens? Are they outsiders? Because you see, if they're genuine Bahamians like me, no murders. None. There'll be none in 52 years. None in 58 years. Because I've lived through the whole expanse of that. But yet, you've had murder after murder after murder among the young males in this country. So who's committing the murders? And yet we have not gotten a hold of that problem yet. I asked on one show that someone was doing on another radio station, and I put the question to that particular host. What major national crime problems has the Royal Bahamas Police Force solved on behalf of the Bahamian people? And here are the clear-cut benefits that come to the Bahamian people as a result of these major national crime problems having been solved. Let me repeat that question. What major national crime problems have been solved by the Royal Bahamas Police Force on behalf of the Bahamian people over the last 58 years? And here are the clear-cut benefits that come to the Bahamian people as a result of these major national crime problems having been solved. Because we understand the deputy commissioner was robbed. That was reported in the news. The deputy got more than one deputy. If they got more than one deputy appointed, that's unconstitutional, Bahamians. Constitution doesn't support that. See, we allow our political leaders get away with a lot of crap because we don't challenge anything. We don't call them into question. We just roll over and do nothing about it. I can deal with that in another show. Because that's a constitutional issue. And now we are seeing where these fellows who were once head of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, they're now taking up ambassadorial positions. And one who was in England now is one of the ministries. I believe the Ministry of National Security. What kind of crap is this? Watch what the government of the Bahamas is doing, Bahamians. Right in your face. These people getting all kind of benefits, you know. In fact, one waited until he got all his benefits, then get reappointed again, went over to be an ambassador. Is that the way we're supposed to be behaving in this country? You're a police officer. And yet crime rages on. And yet they want to tell you crime has decreased. Tell that to the people who have relatives murdered and see what their reaction would be. You cannot convince them there's been no decrease in crime. Do you blame them? I don't. Where's the protection? And look how long it takes for these murder cases to come up. Now, that's a different kettle of fish. I can't deal with that today like that. That's a different kettle of fish. I got to have a whole show or shows just dealing with that. Constitutionally, Bahamians. Because scripture says, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. You're taking 5, 10, 15 years for the case to come up. Give me a break, man. People's memories fade. They might get sick. They might not be here anymore. They might have passed on, particularly if they, well, not necessarily advanced in age. I have to withdraw that. But even the younger ones disappearing. In their 20s, Bahamians, 21, 22, deceased. These are supposed to be the future of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And we're losing them at a young age. Is it a violation of the Fifth Commandment? I don't hear people talk about the Fifth Commandment, where God says, children, obey your parents, for it is right. There's nothing wrong with that. It is always right. There is tremendous disobedience to parents in this country. Children defy the authority of mommy and daddy. That could have never happened in my day. NEVR. I remember I was in the store the other day. This was in Kelly's, and my sister was looking at some lamps. Then all of a sudden, as I was moving along, I saw my two hands come to my side. And like someone told me something. I know nobody wasn't speaking to me. But my father always told us, you go in the store, you touch nothing. And all of a sudden, my two hands were to my side. I just looked at the lamps and looked at the things. Because if you pick up the people things and you drop it, you know, you got to compensate the shop. So all of a sudden, I saw my two hands to my side. And I remembered when my father told me not to touch anything in the store. You think children are taught that today when they go in these people's stores, running up and down, making noise, yelling and screaming? And people think it's cute. Oh, they're just children. We have children committing murder. 15, 16-year-olds committing murder, Bahamians. You think that's cute? There's nothing cute about that. That's a serious matter. Murder never entered into our minds when we were around that age, 16, 17, that kind of thing. You could not defy mommy and daddy. It was not allowed, Bahamians. Wherever they sent you, that's where you went. No questions asked. No negotiations with you. None. Daddy said you go there. Mommy said you go there. That's it. But today, the children say they ain't want to go to church. My mother and father made sure we went to church. My father insisted on it. My mother insisted on it. I get so accustomed going to church. Well, I keep the Sabbath now. I used to go to the Baptist church. But since I got converted, I've been keeping Sabbath. 54 years and counting. So it'd be unusual for me not to go to church Saturday morning. I remember when I first went, the first time, it was so strange. I used to go on Sunday, but I shifted that. And now for more than 54 years, I was going on Saturday. And you get so accustomed to it. This is Professor Sidney Walter Thompson. This is Constitution Day. I'm going to deal with the Constitution today. Because Bahamians, there's too much crap out there. All kind of foolishness and nonsense on the airwaves. And people are lost. I got to help them. See if I can point them in the right direction from the scriptures as well as the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson. The lines are open 326-0271, 326-0272, And there's some specific things I will be asking you to assist with. We'll cover that later in the show. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. This is Constitution Day, and I don't have anybody else here in the studio with me. I keep this exclusively for Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson, so I can talk exclusively to the Bahamian people. And Bahamians, I have to do this because there is a lot of crap going on out there. I was appalled, not surprised, but just appalled at the high level of lack of understanding by the Bahamian people in relation to national issues and constituency issues. How we get all mixed up like this? You mean after 58 years of majority rule, Bahamians don't know the difference between a political party and the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? Like I told you, the two major parties that had authority to run this place, they botched it up. They told you that's a PLP government. The next one said that's an F&M government. So the people bought into the crap. And so the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, now that ain't in the Constitution now. Constitution don't talk that kind of foolishness. The Constitution just speaks to the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and how it ought to function. You don't see anything about PLP government in your Constitution or FNM government in your Constitution. No such crap. But it's so etched into the psyche of the Bahamian people, and they're supposed to be intelligent people on there, you know, talking foolishness and nonsense. Bahamians, we need serious changes in this country. Because the very Constitution, which is the supreme law, has been violated by the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas for the last 52 years. Now you say, Professor, how you know that? I've done my homework, Bahamians, and others have done their homework as well. And it's true. It is 100% true. We have what is called the Bahamas Nationality Act, which was to come into effect July the 10th, 1973, having been passed under the Constitution under the former colony Bahama Islands. The supreme law of the country was to come into effect July the 10th, 1973. Now, one of them got to get knocked out. The Nationality Act was purporting to make changes to the Constitution, but it has no authority to do it, Bahamians. And they've been using that piece of crap from day one, July the 10th, 1973. It has no legal standing, never did. And guess what? All these attorney generals they've had, from July the 10th, 1973, right on up to now, not a living one has told the government of the Bahamas, stop your foolishness, stop your nonsense. What you're doing is completely false and wrong. They have been naturalizing Bahamians. No, they've been naturalizing persons. I had to make sure I say this slowly. I ain't gonna rush it. Because I want you to get it, Bahamians. The government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas has been naturalizing people who do not qualify to be citizens in this country. That's point number one. Point number two. The government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas has no constitutional, no legal authority to naturalize anybody. The Constitution doesn't support it. That's a fact. Go and check the document for yourself. See those articles talk about citizenship? And all these people who are in the papers wanting to be citizens, even foreign males say they want to be citizens. You see why God told the children of Israel, don't let no foreigners come into your country. The females and the males marrying into your country. It's going to take you away from God. And that's what has happened in the Bahamas. So these foreign males grab up Bahamian girls, say they marry them. Marriages of convenience, of course. Now they applying, I understand, for citizenship. You any crap like that? From all these different nations. and be right here allowing it to happen. For 52 years, Bahamians, that kind of foolishness has been going on and still is going on. So what you going to do about it? You're going to sit back and allow the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, notice what I said, the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and talking about no political party. I'll speak to that at another time. Because there's a vast difference between a political party and the government of the Bahamas. The Constitution allows for political parties. But there's only one government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You may have different administrations of that government. Some of you around here are still talking about the governments. There's no such thing as no governments. One government. From 1729 straight through. Even when we were a colony, one government. You just had changes of administration. And as simple as that is, a whole lot of our people don't have it, don't understand it. They're so wrapped up in party colors. And when it comes to looking at national issues in this country, they see it through party eyes. And you don't agree with them, with their political philosophy, they get vexed with you. They don't want to talk to you. Families have been divided for years. They're rowing all the time. You're this and you're that. Next one say you're this, you're that. That is confusion. Now let me say this to you. The only thing that could unify the Bahamian people is the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The only thing that could unify the Bahamian people is the supreme law of the land. That's it. That ain't no party document. That's a national document. That is the way we're to run this place, Bahamians. And those who have been given the authority from day one to run this place, according to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, has failed to do that. All we got to do is go check the records, you know. We know who the people are. You know who they are too. But some of you have closed your eyes. That's your friend, that's your brother, that's your ma, that's your sister. So what? And all they've been doing is putting crap on top of you. And you have not corrected them to say, Mr. Government, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Minister of National Security, you're dead wrong. Mr. Minister of Immigration, you're dead wrong. Now they call themselves the Immigration Board. Well, that's the cabinet. So they all fall or stand together. But then the man come up and say he did nothing wrong. The Prime Minister comes and backs him up. They did nothing wrong. When people tell you they did nothing wrong, be very careful of them kind of people. Because you know and I know they're mortal human beings capable of making mistakes. It is very, very difficult, and I'm going to repeat this several times. It is very difficult for human beings to admit error and change. Have you ever seen the governor of Bahamas did that? Have you ever seen the Royal Bahamas Police Force do that? Have you ever seen the Defense Force do that? Talking about they going to court and let the court make the decision. Give me a break, man. Human nature is so wicked and so evil and so rotten. And that's in all of us Bahamians, including Professor Sidney, Walter Thompson. I've been fighting with it for 54 years since my conversion. So I know what I'm talking about. And anyone who tells you when they're converted, everything is easy street, tell them stop talking foolishness and nonsense because it's not true. That's when you get real licks on you. We have to be willing to admit when we are wrong Bahamians, otherwise we are not going to improve as a nation. Because we keep lying to ourselves, we keep deceiving ourselves, and we keep allowing others to deceive and mislead us. Call you live on here. Go ahead, please.
Oh, good afternoon, Mr. Thompson.
Hey, what's happening?
Very good. Mr. Thompson,
Yes, sir.
does the Constitution have any remedy in place, like for our government doing transactions, like with an embassy that, like their government doesn't? It basically does all the government, but a functional embassy that is shut it up and doing business, basically getting people sorted out to have a Bahamian passport.
No, that's wrong. That's totally wrong. I know
So,
exactly
I mean,
what
why
you're
do they do
coming
that?
from.
Knowing that the country Haiti do
That's
not have a
not,
government in place. The embassy open every day. The vehicles are there. What the number is? 400 and 404. CD 404 and 400. They don't have no government, but they're doing business in Bahamas. The embassy like every day doing
Yes.
business.
yes.
And I mean, like persons couldn't have any payment documents. They'll have to go home.
All those
Supply.
documents,
I
all
beg
of
your
those.
pardon?
You see now, we know they can't even renounce anything.
So why? I mean, like, why the authorities ain't shutting that down, man?
The authorities are in collaboration with those
With
people.
the
But
PLC
the-
government or the African government, because it's showing the Bahamas government.
Carl, I got to correct you on this. The
I know,
government of the Bahamas.
I know. I always say it for years because people always say PLC. And
Yeah,
African
but they
government.
tell you
Yes,
this
I said,
crap. That's why
you know,
Carla, give me a moment.
yes,
That's
sir.
why it is so hard for me to explain in basic fundamental language. I know I was talking to some good Christian people, and they are so, how should I put it? I got to be nice to them. They mean well, but they lack understanding. They cannot help this country one iota. To save their lives, they couldn't do it. They'll die.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, sir.
The same thing that they call the Bahamas government or PLP or African government. Every year
Yes.
they said that they are not a government; they are administration of government. That's what
Yeah.
they always was. That's what they always see. But they go and to make themselves a bigger than they're supposed to be. They saying they're the Bahamas government, and then they go do all kind of nonsense. And then when they get out of office, we elect them in a problem. And the problem continues to fester no matter which administration go and be it F&M or PLP, one body, two different hands.
What is the solution to that, caller?
Well, it must be constitutional announcement because I mean, like,
No, I'm not knocking you that you're saying what they're doing
yeah.
is not
Well,
constitutional.
basically, the solution is for that embassy to be shut down, man. Because I mean, it shut it up from Dorian. All the shutters up and things like it's no business going on. But I mean, the amount of cars and like I said, the 404 and the 400 fleet.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, this is nonsense. I mean, what kind of country is run like that?
Well, see, this is why you had some citizens who got together and decided they're going to take the government of the Bahamas to court. We say we got a judiciary. Yes, we do. We're going to see just how the Chief Justice, Sir Ian Winder, is going to deal with it. We are appealing to him to use his office of Chief Justice to bring this serious national problem to light. Because you can't depend on the government of the Bahamas to deal with it. They're so far out as far as the east is from the west, as far as the north is from the south.
And Mr. Johnson?
Yeah.
And I mean, this here problem is like you see, if you're looking at the human body, right? I'm talking about bleeding to death.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you
bleeding to death, right?
Bleeding to death, yeah.
And it's like, you know what? You do nothing. You do nothing. You do nothing. And you leave it up to politics. Okay?
But,
you know, this country run on politics and it's wrong because guess what? These people only want to get elected. And we see what they do to get elected.
Yep.
They bring in persons who are non-Bahamian, they give them a passport, and put them in the pool and say, let's vote now. It's something that voters registered has been around from about 3 elections ago, that they keep on pushing and pushing and pushing like bad drugs, right? You know what? The whole process needs to be restarted again. It's basically those cards. Right now, we're in high-tech time, man.
Caller, the voter registration, let's say the listing of personalities on the voter registration list is not accurate.
It's tainted.
We have to clean up that whole thing. You got to scratch off many of those who are on it because they got citizenship, well, at least that's what they call citizenship. It is not citizenship. They got a piece of crappy paper signed by a minister, say he's the minister of immigration, signing a piece of crap and putting it in the hands of these strangers, foreigners, aliens, and outsiders, and say they're making them citizens. That's why you have to take them to court.
Yeah. And it's Thompson.
Yeah.
You realize like presently, more persons that are coming in the country. I mean from Haiti, right? They talk about from basically America and other nations, right?
But you do have that, yes.
That's what I'm saying. Because you know what? All these different nations are putting their foot down, okay? To rid their country of persons who literally ain't belong there, right? And every nation has a right to do that, right? Because they come on, man. Right now, it ain't no time for to have like countries all mixed up with a bunch of persons who who even documented.
No, they're not.
Who would allow that right now at this kind of time? Just like that time, man. Huh?
Yes.
And we must do better in this country. They take us to God because guess what? Tomorrow, the politicians today, they enjoy the money today, but tomorrow they enjoy the pain or enjoy the pain for the mere fact that persons, when you don't know who they are, and basically they say they come from there, but they come from, and chances are even they come from there. They go in other countries and then they migrate here and end up with a Bahamian passport. At the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what? You see what Donald Trump is doing in America? People don't like Donald Trump. Principle is principle. When you stand on nothing, you see that's what happened in the Bahamas. You don't stand on nothing. Okay? Donald Trump going in there with principle. He said what he's going to do, and he's doing what he said he intended to do before the election. Right?
Yes.
Which government or administration we have put in place in this country that level to their need? None. All of them capitulate to the same thing: illegal migration, the allowance of persons to come here and disenfranchise Bahamians, and that's their game. TLP and FNM, no difference. No matter which minister they put in there to deal with our, like I say, immigration or even like I say, foreign affairs, right? These persons who questionable nation. All right, and you think it's fair? And Haiti won't allow no Bahamian to do what these Haitians doing in the Bahamas. No way. And they know that. But they in this country are allowed to perpetuate like be stupid or something and can't talk about it because, you're xenophobic. It's a matter of principle.
It is the
this corruption need to stop long time ago. These persons, they know who they are. It ain't like no hard feelings to say, but, someone hates you. No one hates you. You need to go home. And let me look at what's happening in Haiti. Hey, the Haitian problem is Haitian problem. They say they need a Haitian solution. So Haitians need to go home and fix their problem. No one can fix Haitian problem.
Okay. Because I understand your urgency and I'm trying. I want to move to solutions now. You spoke to the problem.
Yeah,
but we got to move for solutions now.
Yeah, the solution is Constitution. The Constitution is the solution. All right?
No, I'm not disagreeing with that.
And these man, I have to express what the problem is because people are like they in this sleep and slumber and all mixed up and things with these people and things feel like, oh, that's my friend, or that's my baby daddy, this and that. Some people ain't loyal. They won't be here at any means, and they don't care. They'll burn your town. For example, you see even by the sports center and see all them trees, them pine trees they cut down and things like that. And you can tell me they ain't cut them now for what? Thousands of trees. Just shove them, push them down and things, and we just do some wrong things in this country. We sacrificing. I'm talking about the environment.
I heard the environment minister make a very weak, ineffective statement. in relation to that. Extremely weak.
And yet, Mr. Thompson, it's like no longer than a month ago, right? They said they have this system. They put this group together in from the government to basically enforce, like when you go clear your property, you can't clear every tree property. Let them come and wait and say what trees you cut. And when you have to cut trees, only directly when you put doing a foundation and thing, right?
I'm
And then
like that,
like
yeah.
3 weeks, 2 weeks later, and thing you look in the government. The government, they hate this country. Only the
Okay.
big people do something like that.
Okay, Calderville, thank you for your contribution. We got to move on. I believe Mr. Bruce is telling me I have another call on the line. Sorry about the delay, caller. Call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Good afternoon, Professor.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry about the delay. I was trying to get.
No problem. No
Yeah,
problem.
okay. All right.
All right. Just let me say. All right. In reference to our governance of the country and the fact now that we are learning more and more about our Constitution,
Yes, ma'am.
I realize that the country has to be governed, right? We know what we have had, we know what we have, and we know we don't want what we had, and we no longer want what we have.
Okay.
Now we're going to have to elect somebody to run the country.
That's true.
Some party to run the country. Okay?
When you say
Now-
party, you mean like how it was done in the past?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure.
Right.
You said no. Well, that's true. Okay.
All right.
You don't want to
So,
go. You don't want to go that way anymore.
No, we're not going to go anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
We understand from these two parties, every 5 years, give us more time, give us more time. Now, if we put you for the first 5 years, we see nothing getting done. You didn't do anything at all. Now we vote you out. You come back again, we vote you in. You don't even realize you didn't do anything the first 5 years.
That's an interesting
So
observation.
What are you coming back for the second 5 years?
Good question.
So it ain't like you started a project, and if you get back, you're going to try to finish it.
Yes, ma'am.
Each time you come, you ask for more time. And you do nothing with it. So we're going to go another way. We're going to get the change we so desire. We're going to get the change our country needs. And I must say, only one party is talking about change in this country, believe it or not. And that's the COI. Now they are a party. They understand when they get government, they're no longer a party. They become a governing party, a government for the Bahamas and for the Bahamian people. But I'm not hearing any solution from the FNM or the PLP.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm hearing no vision at all. You know, it's just vote for me because you're the PLP and I'm the PLP.
Yes,
We're
ma'am.
not doing that.
Yes.
We have put all of these people in parliament all of these years. They have to toe the party line. They can only say what the prime minister tells them to say. They have no voice. So as the COI has said to us, they are an independent body. Each person has their own voice. They're not controlled by anybody. And that's what we need, independent thinkers. People who want to go and solve problems and not be holding to any leader. Because that's not what we want.
Let me just ask you a few questions if you don't mind. in relation to this particular grouping. How did they say they
Yes.
would govern the country? Give me,
I'm sorry?
tell me how they say they would govern the country.
No, it's not how they say they're going to govern it.
Uh-huh.
It's how the member of parliament said they're going to govern.
Well,
How
you got
they're going to be a
now.
part.
All one point there. You have parliamentary representation as one
Yes.
at the constituency level.
Yes.
You have the national government of the Commonwealth of Bahamas,
Yes.
which is the cabinet. The parliamentary representative, if we understand our system, and the government of the country
Yeah.
are to work together in harmony. Article 24.1 of your Constitution. It doesn't
Agreed.
make any sense to have a parliamentary representative who cannot deal with the problems of that particular constituency and get the cooperation of the government of the Bahamas to deal with those problems at the constituency level. And also, he has to represent you at the national level because we got some national problems like crime, dealing with electricity. I hear them talk about all kinds of electricity companies for New Providence. I don't know where we get this foolishness from. We had BEC, one electrical company. Now I understand you got 5 or 6. So what are they supposed to be doing? All of them piling up on New Providence. We also have the Electricity Act, which was passed in 2024. And the Electricity Act passed by the current administration said that they were to consult with the people before they make any determination or any decision in relation to electricity. Go ahead, Colin.
But Professor, from what I'm hearing and watching a lot of the persons who are putting themselves up as candidates, most of them, from what I see, they live in their community, so they know their community. They're talking to their constituents, and at least they're calling for the books of the country to be wide open, that we as citizens can look and examine and see what has been going on in this country. They're all calling for accountability.
Okay.
And that's what we need. Everybody's upset with immigration, and we see these two governments have done anything about it.
What we have
They don't even talk about it.
What we have seen, the government signing these secret deals
Exactly
with investors in the country. We do not know what is being signed on behalf of the Bahamian people. That in itself is unconstitutional.
But see, Professor, that's why we need to change. Because we need the books to be open. The PLP covers for the FNM. The FNM cover up for the PLP.
Yes, ma'am.
So we want to put new people in there who aren't beholden to anybody. And who's willing to call out both sides.
Okay.
And that's what we need.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to continue to question my representatives according to my constitution and get as much answers as I can get out of them.
Okay.
Because the two parties who have been there won't give us any answers.
Okay.
We get to pay the bill while they sign all of these crazy contracts.
Yes, ma'am.
And giving our country away.
Yes, ma'am.
You're not hearing them addressing immigration.
You don't hear. You do not hear of any mass deportation of persons out of this country. None.
We haven't heard it.
No organized movement to get these people out. None whatsoever.
No, we haven't been hearing it. And that's why we need a new crop of people.
Yes, ma'am.
Who are saying that they will governed by our Constitution.
Yes.
It's time for a change. We want our country,
Yes, ma'am.
and we're prepared now to fight for it.
Oh, no, you got to fight for this.
And we're going to take our Constitution with us.
Yes, ma'am.
And whether the court stands up or not, we the people will.
Yes, the people have to do it. That's correct.
So I thank you very much, Professor.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. No, the Bahamian people, the electorate, in the last two elections, they gave one party 35 out of 39 seats. You mean to tell me the personality who was in office at that time cut the term short by about 8 to 9 months? Say he saw some headwind. And that was the same personality who said that they may have to violate the Constitution. And no one ever challenged the Prime Minister at that time on the foolishness that came out of his mouth. The thing is that we have to know who it is we are dealing with when you talk about giving authority to people to govern this place. Because we haven't been a good judge of character. I can speak more to that when you come back because I hear the music in the background. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. Bahamians, we have a lot of problems. We got to start just solving some problems because we are in dire trouble. And those who have been running this place are the ones responsible for the condition the country is in today. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and globalradio99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network. I have a special announcement I want to make while it's fresh in my head. There are general elections in Trinidad and Tobago today. I remembered some time ago they had some confusion over there where there was an overthrow of the government in that country at some point in the recent past. But today they're having general elections in Trinidad and Tobago, and Global Radio Network 99.5 FM will be giving you the results of that election, live coverage, 7 p.m. this evening, I guess until it's finished. All right, so you tune in to Global Radio Network 99.5 FM for live coverage of the outcome of the general elections in Trinidad and Tobago this evening. Remember, don't forget now, write it down so you'll remember, 7 p.m. tonight on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. I'm going to tune in while I wake myself to hear that. But Bahamians, it is good when you can have these elections, peaceful elections. Well, we've been having it from 1729. There's been no other country in the Western Hemisphere, or maybe in the world for that matter, where there has been successive transfer of administrations from one administration to the next without firing one shot. Now that has happened in Trinidad and Tobago. So let's hope that they can have a stable democracy and that people will learn to respect the results of the people. Now this happened in the Bahamas where we don't row and fight and talk foolishness and nonsense. People may have their differences, but you will find that once the results are out, the party that loses bows out. And that's the way it should be. If the people decide they don't want you to be there again, well, it's their choice. Now, let me just say this in relation to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We have very serious issues, and it is clearly evident for the last 52 years. The government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas has been naturalizing citizens in this country where there's no legal authority for it to be done. The Constitution does not support naturalization of anyone. And as one caller spoke about the Haitians, you got people from all these other nations now. A proliferation of males, foreign males, with their concubines and their sweethearts. Huh? Say they want to be citizens of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. What kind of crap is this? The Constitution doesn't support that. We have to be very careful of who we have added as citizens of this country. But it is clearly evident that those in authority now are not thinking about that. It is adding more and more and more. So we ask in the court to intervene and hear the matter, hear the case. We cannot just sit back and allow the government of the Bahamas. See, when the government acts unconstitutional, they have no authority. So you don't have to even listen to them. Do you understand how serious that is, Bahamians? You have all authority to defy a government when they step out of line. All. Because if they act outside of the Constitution, it's unconstitutional, Bahamians. So we're to make it extremely difficult. And that's why I'm going to say to you now, it may very well be that we may have to take some very strong, unusual constitutional action against the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas for what they're doing now. Let me repeat that. We may have to take citizens of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. I ain't talking about them who say they're citizens, them paper ones. They're no good. We may have to take very strong, unusual constitutional action to save this country from going under Bahamians. And you need to know what that is. That's why I'm saying to you, you need to know your Constitution. And once you stand on the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and the Holy Bible, you'll never be wrong. You will always be right. Call you live on there. Go ahead, please.
Hey, good afternoon, Professor.
Hey, what's happening?
And good afternoon, Bahamas. Professor, like you say, it's Constitution thing. Professor, I want to touch on really the Constitution, because you see how and we could draw a line of what happened when you go wrong with the Constitution. You see how we walk out the place, walk out the food store, with walk out with all your things in your hand, all your grocery in your hand, and they want you to buy a bag. You know that is unconstitutional. But
but they operating a business. You're supposed to have bags to put the things in.
Thank you, sir.
What kind of nonsense is that?
But see, when people see, Professor, we could use this as a line. See, when you disrespect the Constitution, the people say the people can buy the grocery and people can pay for the bag. So we in a win-win. We don't care. Like the grocery store supposed to have compassion for your people. I spend money and you want me to spend money. I get hustling for the bag. You know why this happened? And no one said nothing? Because they disrespect the Constitution. No one said this because someone have rights to see that the people getting things good.
Yes.
See that I using this as an illustration. When you disrespect the Constitution, look for foolishness to be law. You understand me?
Yes.
And so what we guys say, I say this and I say this on the Constitution Day. Anyone talking foolishness, if it ain't constitutionally sound, I just say it's just joke. All it is KB, you're just joking because you ain't making no kind of sense.
Yes.
Anytime you move for the Constitution, I want them, like you say, the Bible and the Holy Bible and the Constitution. When they move for the Constitution, what are they making? They're making stupidness law.
Yes.
I can end with that one.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, caller. Your contribution is very good. And I hope I could get some more calls like that, because not only the calls. Now, remember I told you on July the 8th of last year. People say, Professor, what can we do? You think I forgot it? I thought about it very seriously. And when you hear me say something publicly like that, I don't back down from it. Because I know on what I stand. I believe me, my producer tell me I got another caller. Call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Professor, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you today?
Well,
yeah.
Man, let me tell you something. This Sidney guy, I love his contributions. And I know, sometimes we could all step a line and don't call for a long time, but I just love his contribution. He knows my voice.
Yeah.
Old chicken action here. But, I want to ask you something, Professor, because I am a little confused right now. Like the gentleman just said just now, two things are never wrong. The Constitution and definitely the Bible.
Yeah, they're never wrong. They're always right.
Yeah, but I had a fight with this lady. Well, not a fight, because she's a brilliant lady I speak to. But I would call it a conflict or something like that,
Well, maybe differences of opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely, let me tell you something. I was married to a white woman. Oh, my God, I can get in trouble for saying that.
Why should you get in trouble for saying that if you were married to a white woman?
I'm the best wife I ever had. I'm sorry.
That's just the pig. That's just the skin pig.
No, when you think back,
Yes.
No, Professor, if a woman see you washing dishes, she can run in there crying.
Why?
No, you shouldn't wash dishes. I was brought up, never let your husband wash the dishes. Italian she was, And God bless Mario Nato from Freeport. He passed on the weekend.
But I heard about a particular personality pass. Is that a Bahamian?
Well, something that's a big question these days, if he's a Bahamian man, because he's a white Italian and still got some of his accents. But Professor, he's more behaving than any one of us.
It's a Chinese fella then.
No, he's not Chinese. He's Italian.
Oh, Italian. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I
I'm sorry.
apologize. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
he's Italian.
But I heard, and I had endorsement from the Prime Minister and the chairman of the PLP party.
Yeah.
They say what a good person he was, and maybe he was to them. I don't know.
Of course, yes, he's definitely a PLP.
Oh, he was
No
a
two
PLP.
about it. Two ways
Okay,
about it. He
okay.
was with Ping a long time. He was a very big Ping person.
A big thing for the PLP.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Maybe
he
he
had
was.
a little knowledge there.
Maybe he was a contributor, financial contributor to the PLP.
That dude, he paid my rent for a long time in Freeport. In some business or other, I was always waiting for that guy.
Yes.
And he was just a good soul, man. I gotta say that, man.
Okay, all right. Well, I just gotta listen to what others say about him. How old was he, by the way?
I give Mary about 80.
Oh, he's up there. Okay, all right.
It could be a little more even. But you remember a guy named Jim White from Freeport also?
I heard about him. Yes, no, I heard about that. Jim
Big
White.
name. An artist Neely.
I heard about Artist Neely.
He's gone. All Freeport people. But I didn't call you to bore you with that. I think I called you because I wanted you to deal with something because a lady on Facebook that I have disputes with. We were talking about the Pope because she's Catholic.
Oh, the Pope, yes. I was disappointed that no Catholics took up my offer on Monday.
Yes.
Monday was when the Pope died.
Yes.
Or was it Monday? And I think Tuesday when we came on the show. I wanted to get into it, but the Catholic community didn't respond to the death of that their leader. I was disappointed in that.
Yes.
We should have had that discussion all last week.
Man, but I know we already passed Holy Week and all that stuff, but
yes,
the man just died Holy Week, man. That's a sign. Lord say, we say fast, pray, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Watch and pray.
Watch and pray, yeah.
The signs. And we see them right there every day in front of us.
Yes.
Dorian was a ignore that.
I think with the passing of the Pope, that's going to have serious implications for the world.
The passing of the Pope?
Yes.
I think it'll benefit us who don't believe in LGBT and illegal immigrations.
Okay.
The Pope is the one that harvests all the Haitians right here. I mean, not the Pope, but the Catholic Church.
Okay.
Well, I should say alleged. But the reason why I can't say that, Professor, is because we don't know how many of them are here.
You mean how many Haitians?
Well, like you've been saying all day, any denomination.
Oh, denomination? Oh.
Anyone.
But I don't
mean the religious denomination. I also mean nationality denomination.
Oh, the nationalities. No, you're correct on that point.
Right,
we do not know how many are here.
We don't know.
In the country. We don't know. The government of the Bahamas, immigration has not made those statistics known.
The Prime Minister said himself, the former Prime Minister of COVID era, he said that he's a doctor and he gave birth to one baby in a day and 10 or 7 that very day. He said he did this back in the 70s. And still everybody would just stop the whole process of censorship, doing it the right way. Because like I hear you say all the time, they don't count you. They count who they want to count. But anyway, Professor, I'll get back to my thing. The lady said, you said the Bible is never wrong.
Oh, no, never
wrong. But the argument we have, me and the lady, is she said, never say never.
Why she said that?
Because she believes, for some reason, she believes that anything is possible.
Well, all things are possible. I agree with that.
So if all things are possible,
yes,
never say never.
But I think she has a misunderstanding.
Now the point I'm making is, but how can the Constitution be right if we can never say never, and you say it's never wrong.
No, it is always right because it's a supreme
She
law.
said no.
Oh, okay.
She said never say never
Well,
because
see,
it could be wrong one day. Is what she was saying.
no, it's never wrong. It could never be wrong. It's the supreme law. You have to look at every single thing the government of the Bahamas does
Absolutely.
in light through that constitution.
I agree. If you
So
do
it
it the
cannot
right
be
way.
wrong. But it's supposed to be done the right way. That's why you have people govern the country. And when they're not doing it,
Thank you very
then
much.
the electorate
I
has
know
to
we've
take
been doing it the right way for the last 51 years.
52.
Why we get into trouble right now? Yeah, well, that's why we're in the trouble we're in right now.
We are in serious trouble, yes, sir.
We can't even rid them who are not of us, please go away no more.
Right.
Because you're sort of like a, God forgive me for using the term, but if you're a cancer, come on now. Country can die.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't mean to bring it down, but I wanted to know what is never, this and that. And I said before I leave, really quick, Professor, this means a lot to me. The topic about Josiah the king, I would like to deal with that a little bit more on another show.
Well, someone brought that up, and the particular personality who brought it up.
At the show yesterday?
Was it yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday, I could tell you the whole story. Could be the day before. No, it was the day before. It was Sunday.
No, but the thing is, the particular personality wanted to talk about the religious leaders. But I said Josiah was the king.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to talk about your political leaders.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a Josiah?
Was like a king and a religious leader.
That may very well be because the law was the law of God that they had to follow.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Yes.
And so I don't know whether the caller wanted to make a comparison with one current administrator now compared to Josiah. And he could make that comparison.
Oh.
But let us be objective. Let's be objective about it.
I didn't get that, but something in my spirit told me that something in your spirit, God told you. Hey, stop that matter right now.
No, but I had to stop him because he's talking foolishness.
And guess what? Isn't it so that Josiah came into being because of the prophet who stood up against Rehoboam, the bad, the worst one?
Yes, Rehoboam, boy, he was terrible.
And when the prophet said, stop what you said, you're lying.
Yes.
The man pointed and said, reach out, seize that man.
Yeah, he did.
And when he did, his hand froze.
It froze right there. Right there.
And the guy, and the prophet said, I could heal that for you.
Yes.
Right? And when the king asked him to eat with him, he said, no, thank you. On his way back, God had told him, don't go to the left. Don't go to the right. Don't go back.
Right.
Just stay the rule they send you.
That's right.
And he going to the king, and God sent a lion to kill him.
That's right. That's correct.
Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that quite well.
And his bones were buried in a place where Josiah came by one day. And he said, when Josiah was taking all the evil and the signs and the high places.
Yes.
You know, these lodges and stuff, he's pulling them apart.
Pulling them apart, yes.
And then he said, well, whose tomb is that over there? And he told him that's the man, the prophet. Because afterwards, the other prophet who went to his house to eat and all that stuff, he told his bones, and he buried him. But see, these signs God give people. And when a man brought up Josiah, you know what the biggest statement Josiah made in his whole Chronicles, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Chronicles.
Something?
Yes.
You know what his big thing was? He said, are the musicians being paid?
Yes, that is true, yes.
And they said, no, they're not. He said he cried like a baby in the front of God. Because David was a musician.
Yes, he was.
The first king. And when they said the musicians, the Levites, were not being paid, the man freaked out. He said, he don't know what to do. Go to our God and ask him what to do about this. God sent back, that's a horrible thing you did to your musicians, the lowest among you.
Yes.
I'm going to put you into slavery. And that's what the Bahamas going through right now.
Well, I am glad you mentioned that because the Constitution says no man
should be,
woman or child,
right,
shall ever be slave or bondman to anyone.
I'm not frustrated.
No, the frustration
Because
is
if you keep my money for 4 or 5 weeks, I'm frustrated.
You're not supposed to have one single second of frustration.
Thank you,
July
sir.
the 10th, 1973, right on up to now.
Thank you, sir.
Any frustration the government puts on you or anybody else, that is unconstitutional.
But Professor, I'm running into lawyers right now who make arguments for the government over what you know is the Constitution.
Yes, I expect that. Because the very first lawyer I went to in 1971, I was trying to set up my association at that time. And I wanted some legal advice. And when I came out of his office, one man told me, said, you need to know the law for yourself.
Yeah.
But then I said to myself, well, all these laws, you got company law, you got land, you got real estate, all kind of different branches of the law, which is not really a problem. But the point is, I had to find something that would help me.
Yeah.
And so when it came to mind, when I came to understand the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas is the supreme law, that's it. My mind was made up from there, and I went into constitutional law. That's what I did.
Well,
I've never regretted it.
Professor, thanks very much for this conversation. But you break me into another question now. One question.
Yes.
What if we are all born with the Constitution in our heart for 2 words, right and wrong?
That's an
You
interesting.
get the concept?
That's an interesting question that you brought up.
Yes.
What
The
if we were
Constitution
all
is in our
born
heart,
with the
sir.
Constitution in our heart?
The only people go against are the ones who know it in their heart and just denying it. They go in the devil's way.
But do you know that is what God wants to do, is to write his law in our hearts, in our
Exactly,
minds.
that's what he did.
And he did that, yes. That's why
Everything,
Christ had to die.
Professor, what I mean to say is anything happened to you or me or anybody else,
Yes.
you know the answer is right, but sometimes they want to take us to the privy councils and we ain't got that kind of money.
Right.
But we got to go all the way there. We know it's going to be right, but then again, I can't say that's like going to God, because we all could go to God personally right now, eh?
Right. And see, God can intervene even as it moves to the privy
Yes,
council.
he will.
Or to the appeals court, as the case may be.
I know.
But
when you say God will intervene.
Yes.
And he will.
And he will. That's why we want the Chief Justice, Ian Winder. We ask people to call the Chief Justice, you know. I'm going to read that case number.
Praying for him too, man.
Because
I'm praying for this effort. I don't know him.
No, we have to pray for him because, you know, I know he may have some tough decisions to make, but God has put him there for this time, and we have to ask him.
But Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you got the hours, man. And I know you got backup callers, but if a judge in America under Trump, when Trump was trying to send the killers out, a judge went up against him.
Yeah.
In the Bahamas, when we were trying to clean up the peas and mud, even
go ahead.
went up against our decision.
Yeah.
The lady judge over here.
Okay.
And that thing's supposed to be, I think, these things supposed to go on for 2 years. 2 years now. That's before Dorian. What kind of country you, man? Sir.
That's a good point you raised.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody living up to the rule of law. But anyway, thanks so much, man.
Thank you very much for your call. Thank you very much. The caller made some very good points. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson. I have to come back to further discussion because I hear the music in the background. The lines are open 326-0271, 326-0272, 813-0271. Because some people ask me some very pointed constitutional questions. I'm going to answer some of them today. Because Bahamians, you need to know your constitution. 99% of you don't know it. And I ain't all kind of crap out there. We can beat that crap into the ground. Because you have to make the right decision. And the Holy Bible and the Constitution will tell you how to do it, Bahamians. Listen to that foolishness out there. You listen to Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson, and then check him out, man. See whether he's telling you the truth or not from the Holy Scriptures and from the Constitution. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5FM.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. My producer told me this is the last section of the show, and Bahamians, I got to pack it in as best as I can because there are just so many things I have to say, but I'm going to touch on it. Remember now, audience, that 7 p.m. this evening now, the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM will be bringing you live coverage of the general elections in Trinidad and Tobago, which is today, 7 p.m. Don't forget now, I want you to tune in, listen to the live coverage coming in from Trinidad and Tobago through Global Radio 99.5 FM. And we need to understand what's happening in some of these other Caribbean countries. So that's important. So don't forget now, live coverage of the general elections in Trinidad and Tobago, which is today, 7 p.m. this evening on the Global Radio Network, live at that particular time. Let me just see if I could explain something where some people are sending this information on Facebook. Can I make it clear to Bahamian people? There is a vast difference between a political party and the government. When you go to choose a parliamentary representative, you're choosing a particular personality. That particular personality may be a member of a political party. There's nothing unconstitutional about that. You're not electing a party. That's what you seem not to understand. You're electing an individual to be what? Your parliamentary representative. And you are to choose the best possible person to send to the House of Assembly, because we seem to have a problem with that. You need to understand what the scriptures say about representation and what the Constitution says about representation. Let me deal with the Constitution. Article 52.1. Parliament may, that means by permission, Parliament may pass laws. 3 specific things are mentioned: for the peace, order, good government. That's what the Parliament of the Bahamas is supposed to do. Parliament consists of Her Majesty the Queen. No, well, they got a king now in England. But our Constitution says Her Majesty the Queen. So I go in with that. Well, representing the monarchy. Her Majesty the Queen, a Senate, a House of Assembly. And we got to change that payment because we ain't got no more queen. And you got this parliament that has failed to look at that and call a referendum to change it. What kind of nonsense is this? The queen is not here. So you're choosing a person to represent you. You do not have to support the candidate of the particular party that you may be a part of, because the person may be very weightless. You're wasting time. And let me say this. We have not made very good decisions over the last 52 years. We have been voting basically party lines. Let's look at the last 2 elections. But let's look at the one before that. Mr. Christie was prime minister. The PLP was in power. Mr. Christie lost the election, and the F&M came to power under Mr. Minnis, or Dr. Minnis. He got 35 seats out of 39. But how many more seats do you want? That administration had authority in their hand to change every single thing that was wrong in this country, with 35 seats. And yet the government and the Parliament of the Bahamas did not take advantage of that opportunity. Now, that same party say they're the government in waiting. And all of a sudden, they got all the answers to all the problems in this country when they're in opposition. But the man said he saw headwinds. He didn't identify the headwinds. So he called an early election, 8 to 9 months too early. He wanted an agenda. Well, you had the agenda. And he lost the election. Now you have this crew in there now. Guess what they got? 32 seats out of 39. When you look at the last 2 elections and the one before that, the PLP party that won the government, the F&M won the government under Dr. Minnis, and now this time they come back to the same people who were put out less than 5 years ago. And you brought them same people back to govern the country. Does that make any sense to you? You just put them out less than 5 years ago. But you gave them 32 seats. They had the same thing the former administration had. And yet, they had the opportunity to solve every single constituency and every single major problem in this country. And then you look at the constituencies, you look at the government of the Bahamas, all we got is problems. So what's the point of having them? You gave them the power, Bahamians, unlimited power. No one to say, well, we ain't got enough votes to carry it over. They even made a different department, say Department of Immigration. No, not Immigration, Foreign Affairs. But you already have a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but you need Department of Foreign Affairs. So you find a comfortable job for somebody to make some money without working. And this government, this administration, has created all kind of boards, all kind of committees. I got to get a strict counting of all who is in there. Every time you look, every senator has a position. Every MP has a position. And even some who are not. All kind of boards and committees and this thing and that thing and the next thing. Consultants, all kind of consultants. Consulting on what? What advice is the government getting today that is beneficial to you and me? Then they sign all these strange agreements with foreigners, strangers, foreigners, aliens, outsiders. We don't know what's in them, Bahamians. But then the man come back and say, well, you signed it? Who signed it? The people who you gave authority to run the place. They're supposed to be signing on behalf of the Bahamian people, and the Bahamian people don't know what it is. Now I hear the man say, or let's put it this way, it was reported by someone in the office of Prime Minister. I think it's Latrey Ramming. But I don't take too much of what he's saying, because he's just one of them who working in the man office. But he claimed that the man say he still has it in mind to give these reports. See, we got all kind of agreements that the government has signed already with these so-called companies to provide electricity for New Providence. New Providence is only 21/7. And I counted more than 6 that they have already signed agreements with. And their Electricity Act of 2024 say they're supposed to consult. Some people may have some disagreement on some things. And this is supposed to be fleshed out. ERC is supposed to be responsible for that. But all we hearing the fellas done sign things. Now they must be got a select crew when they decide they're gonna send this out for consultation. I never got anything from any of them to say, Professor, look at this and see what you think about it. You only hear when it done pass. But I say, who do they consult with? Because my MP for Centerville didn't consult with me on anything. All I hear is when it passed, they bring it to the House and they have a little talk on it. Just like this minerals thing. This minerals bill that was just passed. Now, what about all those people who've been taking our natural resources out of this country? And we have no record of it, Bahamians. Who've been benefiting from that? Now they put up all kinds of stipulation, this, that, and the next thing, in the so-called Minerals Act. I have to get a copy of that and study that in detail. But you ain't tell us who the people are now. Because the Prime Minister, Christie, said we don't have no natural resources. So how come they cotton all this aragonite? And the Minister for the Environment say how valuable this aragonite is. The purest on the planet. You just remember that, Mr. Minister? But the former Prime Minister, Christie, said we had no natural resources. None. What kind of foolishness that is. So the thing is, Bahamians, we have got to do something to save this country. You've tried and tested some people. You don't have to look back. What you're looking back for? Scripture says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Now, let me stop right there for the time being. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Do you have a righteous member of parliament right now in your constituency? Yes or no? The other portion of that scripture says, when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Which is it, Bahamians? Do you have a righteous representative or you have a wicked representative? Let's hit it right on the head, man. Because you see, if you have a righteous representative, something would happen. If you have a wicked representative, something contrary would happen. So what is it going to be? You want righteous people running this place at the constituency level, at the national level, or you want wicked people running things? You got to take your pick, Bahamians. God don't go around telling lies. Because you see, carnal-minded people do not want to admit when they're wrong. And this administration has said repeatedly, they ain't doing nothing wrong. Although the wrong bigger than Christ Church Cathedral, they ain't doing nothing wrong. When people fail to admit they're wrong, they will keep making the same foolish, stupid, dumb. I better stop right there before I say something out of the way. Decisions, Bahamians, that are not in the best interest of the country. They say ain't nothing wrong. And then you don't even tell them. Maybe you don't even know either. Well, that's my buddy. Don't say nothing about him. Bahamians, you've got to stand up and tell them the truth. If they're wrong, you have to tell them. In fact, God says in Isaiah 60, verse 1, very specific instructions. Cry aloud, not like a little squeaking mouse. That's the first instruction. Spare not. Do not spare them for anything. Mean you don't pull back, you don't hold back on nothing. Spare not. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. And you know, trumpeters make plenty noise. That's what the man say. Who's lifting up their voice like a trumpet? Those three specific reasons. Cry aloud. Spare not. Lift up your voice like a trumpet. Then God says, show my people their transgressions. These are things people are doing wrong. The people of God doing wrong things. And then the next part of scripture, the Bahamian people, their sins. Come on, Bahamians. If we don't recognize the sins of the Bahamian people, and we don't recognize the transgressions of the people of God, we're in trouble. That's why God says, cry aloud, spare not, lift up your voice like a trumpet. We're here around playing games while the country goes to hell. It's falling apart, Bahamians, all around you. And the government seems to be lost, so you got to help the Bahamians. You don't have to agree with them, because I don't agree with the foolishness they're doing. But you got to help them and show them. That's why the Constitution is there, to guide you and me, so that none of us go wrong. Parliament may pass laws. That's the parliamentary portion of governance. Peace, order, good government of the Commonwealth of Bahamas. That's supposed to be in every single constituency. Where's the peace in Centerville? That's some murders in Centerville, you know. shooting through Lily the Valley corner. Where's the peace in that particular constituency? I think that might be, I don't know if that's Centerville portion or not. I don't know. I used to know where all these boundaries were, but they jack up everything and pull this piece out and add that piece. And so I got to learn them all over again. But the point is, Bahamians, we have to stop playing games with the lives of our people. If we're going to see anything change in this country, we need righteous people to do it. And let me add to it, 51% or more of the people in a given constituency must become righteous. No ifs, no ands, no buts. You got to have people to monitor this thing. You got a bunch of wicked people around. What do you expect to happen? Wickedness will occur, Bahamians. Because you don't have any righteous, honest, reliable, dependable persons to take care of your business. We have to do it. We must become righteous in our dealings one with another. Then the constituency, then the nation is headed for progress. So you can't have people continuing to do crap and foolishness and nonsense in the constituency, and all you do is sit back and let it happen. You got to tell them, no, you can't have that. And our land is filled with strangers, foreigners, aliens, outsiders. They need to go home. But we need a national government that would get them out of this place. Massive roundup. Clean up the place. All children of Israel, drive them out of the land of Canaan. They're not supposed to be there. Run them out. We got to do the same thing here, Bahamians, if we can follow God. They have their own country. What they doing here? And they're here illegally. Talking about they want to be naturalized. And this is widespread throughout the country. That's why we need the judge, the Chief Justice, to be able to deal with this. And let's get this case on the road, Bahamians. We'll be calling on your support. I can't go into all of that right now today. But let me just say, we need to support the show. And let me say the show is just one small segment of it. You have to become constitutionally sound until Christ comes back, you know. You can't just sit on your laurels and think everything is going to wait. No, Bahamians, it don't go that way. Either we do it or we don't. Faith without works is dead. It takes action. Very serious action. Because we're in dire straits. So it's important that the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas be taught. I have to say a lot about that. Because a lot of our people don't know it. And because they didn't know it, they got jacked right up by political bodies. That's why they tell you that's a PLP government. That's an F&M government. And you just swallow the crap. No wonder why the people think the party and the government are one and the same. That is one major flaw that's in our people. I'll do my best to separate it. But the Constitution says you can have your party. But you don't have to have the government of the Bahamas. Let them keep their little party. But you don't have to give them the government of the Bahamas. That's the difference. I hear the music in the background. My time is up. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. Bahamians, pray for this nation. Because we need strong people with strong minds depending on God to help rescue this place. You can't depend on them fellas who've been violating the Constitution for 52 years. Why give them more power to keep violating the Constitution for another 52? Give me a break, man. You should have better sense than that. But that's just the way it is. 52 long years of constant constitutional violations. I was shocked when I couldn't believe it myself at first. That's the way it has been going, Bahamians. We got to face the harsh reality. We have been had. We've been deceived. We've been misled. Now we got to fix it. But they're not going to fix it. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. Be safe, Bahamians, and let's pray that God will help us to save this country. Have a pleasant afternoon.
Global